My producer in Guatemala was well connected in the world of sport. It took a while for them to find a jacket big enough for me to fence in, and they had to get brand new gloves. As for breeches, they gave up, so I just stayed in my beige adventure trousers. Others were in shorts, so I'd be fine. This rather bonkers-looking grip is called a pistol grip, and most epee fencers prefer it over a more conventional one. It means that a thrust is delivered more like a punch. My opponent was Gerber Morales, and was, I was told, the top fencer in Guatemala. He's an Olympic hopeful and has competed in the Pan American Games and the Central American and Caribbean Games, at which he won a bronze medal in 2014, and in 2017 he got a silver medal at the Central American Games, so he was no slouch. I knew that.
Hello, I'm here in Guatemala City, and just in case you can't tell, I'm doing fencing, and I'm here with the Guatemalan national fencing team. Gerber has joined me here, and he's going to give me a few pointers with the epee. The epee is one of the three main fencing disciplines that is used in the Olympics. There's the foil, which is a long, thin, thrusting thing where you aim at the torso. There's a curving sword called a saber, where you cut at the torso or arms or head, and that can actually quite hurt. And this is the epee, which is a stabbing weapon, and there are a couple of things that are particularly different about the epee. One is that you can hit your opponent anywhere and it counts. There are those who say that this dates from a time when people were dueling to first blood rather than to the death, although I've never really been able to find out any evidence that backs that up. Another thing that's unusual about the epee is that there is no right of way. So if someone thrusts at me, I don't have to parry and then riposte. I can, if I want, just riposte, and if I'm faster, I can get the point. And the way I get the point is to push the little nipple on the end of the sword in. So you should see on this, if I go like that, it registers as a hit. But on the floor, of course, it doesn't register as a score, so I'm still at 0-0. But if I put it against his suit, then if the technology is working, I should get a point. Although I'm not expecting to get a point because, well, he's a professional fencer and I'm just some guy who does YouTubing. So first we salute each other. Oh, sorry. I got it slightly wrong. Then we put on our masks. It's a gentlemanly thing.
And then you stab! And then you stab! Oh, yeah, sorry, gentlemanly. We had a bit of a practice, tested that the scoring system was working, and then it was 1st to 10. Now, I had done some of this style of fencing before, when I was 16.
This time the scoreboard is functioning, so a hit will register.
I did have a radio mic inside my mask, but the sound from it was rubbish.
Yeah.
One good thing about epee is that only the swords need be wired up to the electronics. With other disciplines, you need the jackets and masks to be part of the circuitry as well. This is because in epee, a hit anywhere on your foe counts. When one sword's tip hits the cup of the opponent's sword, then the circuitry doesn't react. It's clever enough to know the difference.
He's being very careful with me.
The system can be confused, though. Here I hit the floor just before hitting him, so the hit didn't count.
Whoa! What? Whoa. Okay, I hit the floor and it was disallowed. Doesn't count.
He had the scoreboard controller in his left hand and was cancelling out all my illegitimate hits. His favourite target was the flare of my gauntlet. He got me there over and over again.
Little flip. Back of the hand, very easy to do. Well, easy for him. Try it again.
As soon as one sword registers a hit, the other sword is disabled, and it kept happening that I hit him a tiny fraction of a second after he had just hit me, so he scored the points. Frustrating, but that's the whole challenge of the sport, to get there first.
What happens when you go off the piste?
When a fencer goes off-piste, the long, thin rectangle we were fighting on is called a piste. If he didn't score a point, he retreats one section along the piste, and if he goes off the end, the other fella gets a point.
Got it, thank you.
All those annoying and identical whistling beepy noises are announcements that someone somewhere in the hall has scored a hit. You'd think they'd at least get them to be different notes, so you might get a tune.
Yes, I got him! Oh, that was the tiniest little flick. Oh, yeah. It just got the material of my glove there.
Because of my height disadvantage, he had lots of opportunities to go for my feet and knees, which wasn't much of an option for me, but I saw his right upper arm as a tempting target. I might be able to get that while he was still out of range of me. You can see here that his sword is rapidly on the ascent and curving downwards, and I reckon it might hit me on this frame, even though it's out of sight, and on the next frame it is clearly bending on me from the look of his hand. And looking now at my point, on the next frame my sword has hit, so that's less than 1/12 of a second difference.
Again, he beat me by a tiny fraction of a second, but then again that's the whole game, so that's only fair. So how many do we play to? What score do we go to? 10? 10, okay. Oh well,
I had imagined that I'd be happy with myself if I scored 1 or 2. I was expecting a blur of movement each time and a point to him. So either I was a heck of a lot better than you might expect, or he was being very gentle with me. You decide.
just sheer speed beat me that time, just sheer speed.
Got him! Upper arm, as intended. He missed my leg because I was lucky. I certainly wouldn't put it down to any deft footwork. I'm standing there like a pudding.
Well, I've got another one. That was, that's definitely the fault. Oh, I see, he's looking at he's got a little button which records when it was not on him.
Fencing is largely about training reflexes. You can't spend time thinking about how to react. That would be too slow.
No? Okay. I thought one of us got the other there. Seems no score to either side. Yes! 6-7. He's being very gentle with me. Come on. I was looking at that. Right. I thought he got me.
Here's another instance where the eye just isn't quick enough to follow what happens. Before electronics, there must have been a lot of umpiring mistakes made. He gets me there. See his sword bending on me and the light on the scoreboard which has come on. And then, in the next frame, here, you see my sword bending on him about a 25th of a second later.
Again, tiny fraction ahead of me.
On this attack, we both manage somehow to miss each other, and I'm the first to have a second go and hit. I don't think he was being fully competitive. This next one is a good illustration of both of us going for our advantage. My front leg is sluggish and a big, tempting target for him, but I know that I can withdraw it and use my longer arms. I withdraw my foot and evade his attack, and yes! A point to me.
Good grief.
I was now in danger of winning, which frankly seemed a rude thing to do. It was an etiquette nightmare.
No, I thought so. That was the fall, Oh. Okay. I thought that was a hit.
It just skimmed off my gauntlet again. It was 9 each. The bout was on a knife edge. It's not like tennis. You don't have to get 2 points ahead. The next point was the decider.
A left-handed handshake there because we say as fencers. Okay, I'm feeling you may be less gentle with me now.
Look how much quicker his movements have suddenly become.
Yes, he's being a lot less gentle. Ah, his twitches are twice as fast. Oh, that was a terrible lunge from me. Again, he got me first by, well, that's the game, isn't it? And he is definitely faster than I am. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, when I'm not being childish and messing around with fencing foils, I pursue knowledge because, well, it's something worth pursuing, isn't it? And, knowledge is power, so do you want to be powerful? You could have knowledge and then you'll be powerful. And one way to get knowledge is to go to the Great Courses Plus, my sponsor, which is an enormous website which has on it, good lord, thousands, 11,000, or more than 11,000 last time I looked, lectures on all sorts of topics. They've got loads on history, which if you're watching my channel you probably like, and loads on science, and well, I could stop there, frankly, because science and history, that's just marvellous, but there's more. There's loads on how to do stuff, cooking, photography, chess, whatever, and they didn't have one on fencing. It would have been good if they'd had one on fencing, because that would have slotted really well into this video. But I thought that this video is also a little bit about being a seriously competitive sportsman. And if you want to be a seriously competitive sportsman, then maybe you should learn about physiology and fitness from Dean Hodgkin. Yes, Dean Hodgkin is a Brit who's put together 36 lectures half an hour each on all sorts of things, including, for instance, how muscles work and how best to look after them. Well, that would be pretty handy, wouldn't it? And then you would have knowledge, and then you could have power. Maybe you'd win competitions, and that would be good. But you don't have to win competitions. One of the great things about the Great Courses Plus is that there are no exams. You could just pursue knowledge for the sake of pursuing knowledge, and that must be good. So, to do this, you could go to www.thegreatcoursesplus.com/Lindybeige, and there you would find details of a free offer of which you could avail yourselves. That's right, avail yourselves. And it's a free trial period. And you could just look at all the various things they have to offer and get knowledge and get power. Now, I know that some of you might be thinking, does this Dean Hodgkin chap really have a good set of scholars' cradles? How are his gestures? Well, I'm glad to be able to say that the fine folk at the Great Courses Plus, and I've had the pleasure of meeting them face to face twice now, that they can take a lecturer in hand and show him the ropes, and if his cradle work's not quite up to scratch, well, they can help him out there. And I think they've done a pretty good job with Dean. Now, he's new to this, but let's have a look at some of his work here. You see, there's a perfectly serviceable front cage there. I think he tends to overuse the front cage, but I think he's making a fair job of it there, and it's good to see him having a go at the steeple there and a front interlace. I don't think he fully committed on the front interlace, but even so, I think you're fine. You really don't have anything to worry about that. Scholars' Cradles is something that the Great Courses Plus has got in control. So, what you could do, I mentioned the address earlier, but actually it's better if you just click on the link in the description. It's much easier, and if you do it that way, you get to them via me, and so they know that you've got to them via me, and so they're more likely to sponsor me in the future. And I hope that is the case, because they were my first sponsor, and I can say that they are my favourite. So the Great Courses Plus, avail yourselves.
One of the principal maxims of good fencing technique is that you try to keep your opponent on point. So if he were to very slowly thrust against me, very slowly, okay, and I were to knock him aside like that, yes, it would defend me, but look how far off target the tip of my sword is, and he then might be able to get something in quicker. So instead, when he thrusts at me, I might parry in some way that keeps him on point. so I can riposte immediately. So there's a parry that way, there's a parry that way, there's a parry that way where I can rise up, and various others of the same ilk. But when you see the really good guys really competing, you might not notice that that's what they're doing. The technique is still under there, they've still done their fundamentals, but at the very highest competition, as soon as I start doing a parry like that and he realizes, oh, that's not going to work, he then changes to something else. And so you never get this, I do a neat move, he does a neat move, I do a neat move. Instead, it's all a bit messy. Okay, that was terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, how gentle were you being with me, really? How gentle were you being with me? Nice.
You can try again.
And this time you'll be...
Do it and just go for it. Okay. Try
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Five punches.
Okay. Okay, so now you're going to actually
Yes.
fight me full speed.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's only fair. Okay, it's just possible that the score won't be the same this time. On guard. And now I'm staring lightning death. Oh! Wow.
Good Lord! Right, that's it. I'm happy with that. Quick revenge for him.
Okay, again, just key. He can lunge so much faster than I can.
Don't look at the scoreboard, look at your man.
Oh, yeah. Got me on glove.
I successfully defended and he went off-piste, so I advanced one section.
Okay, he went off-piste, so I advanced to the next line. Right. Okay.
Here's an interesting tactic. Can you see how he gets me? No, it isn't easy. He takes his blade back to wind up for a big flick. In this frame here, his sword is here, and then he flicks the blade down onto my cup, and his sword bends over the cup just enough for the tip to touch the flare of my gauntlet at such speed that it generates enough force to register a hit. Got me.
Again, he just clipped me with a flick on the back of my glove. I got you, but not with enough pressure. You got me, that's also enough pressure. Is that fair? You got me on the toe. Oh boy, he's fast. 5-1, yes. That's much more what we might expect. Okay. Thank you for being so gentle with me this time.
A number of tactics I could have employed to defeat him had occurred to me, but perhaps it is best that I didn't try them. Let me explain.
I well remember my first try at fencing. In the class, we formed two circles. I was on the inside, facing out, and the others were in a circle facing in. And we fought the person opposite, saluted them politely, and then all swap partners, they went one partner round. And I fought the first one. Ting, 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 ting. Ha-ha! I won! Yes! But it was just a sample size of one. It was possibly a fluke. So the next person came round. Ting, 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 ting. I won! Yes! Next one. Ting, 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 ting. I won! Beginning to think I'm quite good at this now because this is my first ever go, and some of these other people have done it for a few years. And then someone else comes in front of me. Ting, 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 ting. Win! Ting, 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 ting. Win! Ting, 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 ting. Win! Ah, I was on fire. And then the instructor came opposite me, and it went like this. Ting, 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 ting. You're not allowed to do that. Oh. Thinks. That's how I beat the second guy. Oh well, never mind. Let's try again. You're not allowed to do that either. Oh, thinks that's how I beat the third guy. Never mind. Okay. Oh, you're not allowed to do that either? Really? That's how I beat the first guy. Oh, and the fifth for that matter. Essentially, I had cheated against every one of my opponents. It seems that there are all sorts of picky little rules. You aren't, for instance, allowed to swap hands and thrust with the other hand. It's some sort of safety thing so that people don't thrust you in the wrong way with your zip because it's a right-handed top is meant to cause the blade to skid off that way, and if you're round the other way, then it doesn't protect you as well. You're not allowed to trap the opponent's sword against the floor. You're not allowed to hook the opponent's cup with your cup and pull him towards you and then stab. And what else did I try? You're not allowed to, yes, you're not allowed to turn your back, swap hands, trap swords, all that sort of stuff. Apparently it was all cheating there, but I just thought I was improvising with aplomb.
Here we see the sabre fencers. Notice the knuckle guards on their hilts. And this flag, which we stopped using in 1801. They are fighting on a raised piste, which makes it taller. They cut rather than thrust. And then I collapsed. What I neglected to mention earlier was that I was suffering from a bout of food poisoning and felt dreadful. For one thing, I was freezing cold, and for another, I was very tired.
It's so cold.
Who are you going
It's
to,
so cold.
to leave the armor, Lloyd?
Is it getting dark in here?
They're turning their lights out.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. So whitewater rafting tomorrow. Great.
I think that may have been
Right. No. Stupid food poisoning.
That morning I'd been doing archery, and if you watch that video, you'll see me, being a bit ill. A free trial period! And it's a free trial period. It's a free trial period!